Radio Rahim with Johnny Nelson. This has been some time.
It's a long time. Number one, you're looking all slick and cool. Your hair's grown. You got all Wakanda on me. Is that right?
You know.
You look the part. Nice to see you again.
What you do during quarantine and COVID is like what was in you from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So I got a good rest. You're looking well yourself. Let's not pretend like it's just me.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I'll tell you, a couple of guys that we're going to have to find out exactly what they've been doing the last few months.
Yeah,
going to be right in this stadium behind us for the first time. Anthony Joshua will face Alexander Usyk here. And is it Tottenham?
Tottenham.
That's not. That was pretty. That was good.
Tottenham.
Tottenham?
No, but stop, man. Tottenham.
Tottenham. Yeah, that's what I said. Tottenham. Anyways. Look, it's already been poured over to a great extent, the size difference and if Usyk is a legitimate heavyweight. But I would take another look at this. I don't know that size is as significant in the heavyweight division as some people might assume it to be. I've seen giants knocked out by smaller guys like David Hay. I've seen styles make matchups more significantly than size determine the end of fights. Do you actually think that size here is a determining factor?
You know what? I don't at all. Remember when Evander Holyfield boxed James Tillis? That was his first heavyweight fight. And that was the same argument. Is he big enough? Can he hold it at heavyweight? And he did a job on him. He uses his cruiserweight movement, agility, speed to pick him off, beat him up, and make him give up. I think it was 5 or 6 rounds it went. This size in this fight is the only size you talk about is height and reach. Because when it comes to weight, as a cruiserweight, as an ex-cruiserweight, I'm telling you now, the only time I saw the cruiserweight weight limit of 13 stone 8 then was like the morning of a fight. The rest of the time I was walking around at nearly 16 stone, 15 stone. I could just get down to that. That's what Usyk's been doing. Usyk will come in at a weight where he's not had to cut down. If he comes in at the late 16s and he's put weight on for this, then I'm thinking, nah, man, you're going to negate what you're working on, what you're good at, your speed, your movement, you're in and out. He's got to tease the work out of Anthony Joshua to make Joshua work twice as much as what he would normally do when it came to punch output. And so Joshua's got to stick to his game plan, stick to what they've been working on. Use his height, use his reach, use his heavyweight strength and power him with a jab. Usyk's very good at hustling you, making you think he's going to do something, then making you react. So to every one punch you'd normally throw, he's going to get you to throw 3. So by the time he gets around 6, 7, 8, you're blowing because you've worked a lot more. The success isn't great. No matter what you say, what happened between Usyk and Anthony and Tony Bellew. Tony Bellew was ahead on points, but Usyk made him work at a pace he didn't want to do. Now what Joshua has to do is make sure he sticks to what they're working on. So say for instance he's been working on throwing 200 punches around. In training. That's what he's got to look at. Don't make Usyk make him throw 400 punches around by pretending he's going to do something, pretending he's getting close, pretending he's in distance. Stick to your game plan, stick to what you can do. You have 2 fighters here that have a champion mentality. One is an official champion, one's an unofficial champion. As in Usyk, former unified cruiserweight champion, now he stepped to the heavyweight. He thinks, I'm the heir apparent. I belong here. So he stepped in this. Don't be fooled by his performances against Witherspoon, against Chisora. That's his introduction to the big boys. I remember seeing this guy as a 7-fight pro sparring with Vladimir Klitschko in Vladimir's preparation for fighting Tyson Fury. He get him on kittens. I was watching the sparring. Most good cruiserweights can deal with a lot of heavyweights. It's just the top tier heavyweights where it comes into question. So now you've got a good cruiserweight getting in there with a top tier heavyweight. And this is what it's all about, the professionalism, the size. Anthony Joshua will make sure his size and his power makes a massive difference. He will not, he's too proud, he's too confident, and he has too much self-belief to make this guy hustling into doing something he doesn't want to do.
Is there a danger for Joshua that, as you've described in many ways, that Usyk can make him uncomfortable, not necessarily as a better skill set fighter, but just an awkward fighter.
Yeah.
One who's
unorthodox.
Yeah. And if anything about Joshua can be said, he's an orthodox fighter. And he's excellent at what he does, but it's pretty boilerplate to the point. able to control a fight with his size and distance and everything you would expect. Has he fought this complicated a fight before?
What makes Usyk unorthodox is the fact that there's not many people that are like him. So therefore, if you're used to sparring with southpaws, orthodox fighters, I mean stand up straight, then you're used to that. But then when you get with a southpaw, there's not many of them around. So now Usyk is an unorthodox style southpaw. So to prepare for somebody like that, it's very hard because there's not many people that actually fight like that. I'm from a gym of unorthodox fighters, switch hitters. I get his mentality. I get what he's going to attempt to do to Joshua. And this is why Joshua has to make sure he's steadfast on what he's doing. He can't let this man hustle. That's all I keep saying. Don't let him hustle you. You do your thing. You do your thing, and eventually, I could see this fight playing two ways. The first half of the fight, Joshua is ahead on points. And Usyk's trying to pick pop, making out as though trying to disguise that he's not actually working that much. Touch him there, make him reach out, make him through a few shots. 5 rounds, 6 rounds, Joshua's up. Then Usyk's going to think, right, is this guy breaking? If he's not breaking, I've got to take some chances here and try and rush him, and try and make him fight even more, to make him make mistakes. If Joshua sticks to his game plan, sticks to what he has to do, stick to his punch output, then he gets the win. If he lets this man hustling into his kind of fight, then the second half of the fight is going to explode, because that's when it's going to get mad, because Usyk's going to have to take some chances. He's going to have to get in close and try and make Joshua fight and grab hold of him and miss him and frustrate himself, fall over himself. The second half of the fight is when this fight will set on fire.
And when that second half of the fight has exhausted and the final bell is rung, is somebody on the canvas or is somebody raising their hand on points?
So at first I thought I'd say Joshua late stoppage, but I ain't saying that now. I'm saying it's going to be a tight points win for Joshua. And this is where the public, and you've got to give this man, when that happens, you've got to give him credit where credit's due. Because the general public,
before you go into it, what's changed your mind?
Because Usyk's elusive enough to make sure he keeps himself safe. So to get knocked out, I think it'd be very hard to pin a solid shot on him to put his ass on the floor. To it'll make him hesitant about what he's doing, make him get reckless. But I think to land a solid shot on him, we've not really seen that yet with him as a heavyweight. So Anthony Joshua, because he's had that lead, because he's got the power, because he's got that discipline to keep him off, Usyk's going to get desperate towards the second half of the fight and try and catch up. That's why it's going to be a tight points win. And then the public's going to think to themselves, you've got to give Joshua respect where respect's due, because you and I might know who Usyk is, but the general public, especially here in the UK, they'll think, he's fighting a former cruiserweight champion. They'll not give Usyk credit where it's due. We know that this, as far as I'm concerned, is the best live opponent that Anthony Joshua's boxed. I'm turning professional. I ain't taking out Klitschko, but Klitschko was, a few years past his best. Pulev, a few years past his best. He's now fighting a 34-year-old man that is becoming at the top of his game. And with all the pedigree and everything he's done. So in beating him, I'm quite sure Wilder, I'm quite sure Fury will watch the fight and then make out as though they're not watching it and say, and try and dismiss it. Behind closed doors, they'll know Joshua beating him is a good win. It's a damn good win.
He's fighting a heavyweight in his prime. Yeah. And as you mentioned, what I like to call the final four of Undisputed, the other half of that equation is Fury Wilder. It's been it's crazy because the fight still hasn't happened since the last time I saw you.
Yeah, no.
But there's been a lot that's gone on in the interim. In the way that maybe you've changed your prediction for Joshua Usyk, has your thoughts or opinion changed about Wilder Fury?
No, hell no. And I'll tell you why. So I shook a little bit because I saw Fury out in America and I thought, you're being distracted by all the trappings on what's going on. He's training in the sun. And Fury's a fighting man. So when you put all these lights and stars and fancy clothes and in American people fussing all over him, he'll be distracted by it, like a magpie being distracted by something shiny. But then he's had to come back to his game, settle down. He's back home in Morecambe training. He's thinking, right, I'm back on again. So focus has come back again. For Wilder has, since the last fight, all this time, seething. He's vexed. He's upset. He's thinking all the things that you people are saying about me, and this guy's trying to take my mantle, thinking you're better than me. He's still not accepted what has happened to him. He's not blamed himself at all for what's happened to him. He's blamed everybody else around him. So that tells me he's not changed anything apart from his team. He's not changed mindset. He's not changed style. He's not tried to think, I'm going to try and do X, Y, Z. I reckon what they'll try and do, they'll try and rush Tyson Fury from the off. They'll try and rush him from the off. And in doing that, this is why Tyson Fury said, this is why I'll do him quicker. Because he can try and rush me up and I'll take him then. Because he's never going to become a better boxer than Tyson Fury in that short space of time. And there's many times we've seen Wilder as a boxer be behind on points, and that one punch has changed everything. And that's the only thing he's got to depend on. That one punch, he's got to land that one punch. So he's thinking, you know what? I'm going to rush this man because I'll get him at least once. That's what he needs. And that's why this fight, I can see it ending earlier than the other fight, because I think Wilder will try and rush him. If he doesn't rush him, it might go a little further than the last fight.
Go a little further, but you still got Tyson by knockout. Yeah. As a retired fighter yourself, and I don't know an athlete that's fought at the top of his game that hasn't desired another victory lap around the ring, another spotlight for himself with the glove laced up. But the recent Evander Holyfield fight, Tyson fight, they're already talking about getting another one going. Tyson wants to get in there again. As an ex-fighter, when those fights are announced, before you saw what had ultimately transpired that we all saw, how did you feel about these guys taking that kind of risk and climbing in the ring one more time?
It's a reality check. And what happens is people get lost in nostalgia, and they remember Mike Tyson in his heyday, remember Evander Holyfield in his heyday. They forget how they were their last 2 or 3 fights of their career where they should walk out. So what has made a difference apart from a better time off? So when Evander Holyfield got in the ring, the disappointing thing for me was that these young cubs out there saw this old man, and they're thinking, who is this guy? Oh my God, he's something. They didn't actually appreciate how much of a done Evander Holyfield was, because they just saw him get taken out, with a nothing shot. So that's frustrating for me, because it kind of tarred what he's achieved, what kind of man he is. I think with this opportunity now, with a lot of fighters coming out of retirement to get in the mix, the reason why they do it is because in their head they can still do what they did when they were 25. In reality, their body's saying, "Hey, you can do it, but I ain't doing it." And this is what's happening. So they've got to stay in the lane. So if you're going to do it with another old man. Don't do it with these young boys, because the frustrating thing is you've got all these young guys that may not have as much knowledge, may not be able to box as well as you, but they've got pace and they've got youth. So they can run around you like a duck, man, and you're trying to chase him. You're going to gas yourself out. You cannot change time. You can't go back and be the fighter you were. Mike Tyson might be able to hit the pads unbelievably for 1 minute or maybe 30 seconds. What about the rest of the time? Evander Holyfield might do unbelievably show a little clip when he's bam, bam, bam on the pads. What about the rest of the time? The reality is, when you get to a certain age, let it go. Let it go, step out, let the young bucks fight. Let it go. And the money is tempting everybody, and that feeling of glory is tempting everybody. But these fighters that have made history in our sport have got to remember, they are never, ever going to be the fighter they were. They might be a little bit richer, but they're never going to. So what are they chasing? Are they chasing the dollars, or are they chasing the adulation of what they were when they were 25? It's human nature. It's ego and human nature.
And it's sad to see them have to chase the dollars, and oftentimes that is a lion's share of the motivation. We've seen just in the last 24, 48 hours, Anthony Joshua sign what they're calling a lifetime contract. Mm-hmm. I don't know any sport where a lifetime contract sounds like a good idea for the athlete, especially in a boxing type of structure. Again, as an ex-fighter and an analyst, just on balance, how do you rate the idea of signing away the rest of your career without an option?
So the devil's in the detail. So he signed a deal where Eddie Hearn is going to represent him. He's going to work for him. Eddie, you're working for me for the rest of my career. I'm working with you for the rest of your career. So I want you to be out there and be my front man. I want you to go out and make noise, and like it or not, like him or not, Eddie Hearn is the best promoter in the world. He could sell a car that ain't got no wheels on. He's the best promoter. So therefore, why would you not want that man in the driver's seat? Why would you not want him there? So I understand what he's doing. Eddie works for him. That's what he does. And basically he's saying, Eddie, this is what I want. And Eddie's got it done, and that's why he's stuck with it.
Right, but every promoter says, "Oh, I work for him," but as we know in the history of boxing, the promoter takes a share of his cut, and every other fighter that works for him.
In the detail. So this just hypothetical, not that I know anything, but maybe AJ said, you know what, you're on 15% of whatever I earn. Mm-hmm. That's your job. So when we put a fight on in the ring, in an arena like this, you do a good job. I mean, a lot of money. Your 50% gets bigger. So do your job. That's the devil's in the detail. That might be what it is. You're going to be an X amount percent. You're working for me. We'll do a lifetime agreement. Like, yeah, I'll take that. Which promoter wouldn't want to work with Anthony Joshua? With the 67,000 people here after lockdown, there were 90,000 people in Wembley.
And I'm not suggesting it's a bad idea. I don't know what's in the details either, which is kind of the point. But at a broad glance, it seems like you take the incentive of the promoter away once he knows he's guaranteed to have your loyalty and your check no matter what.
No, so I hear what you're saying, but and I've been boxing a while, and I've seen a lot of promoters come and go. I have never seen any promoter work as hard as Eddie Hearn. You'll see him here today. You'll see him at some in Miami tomorrow. You'll see him elsewhere. I'm thinking, when are you at home with your wife and kids, man? This guy's a proper workaholic. So this isn't just for Anthony Joshua. This is what he does. And so AJ's looked at them for, I like that. If you want to give that commitment, give that some of that commitment to me. So if I was Anthony Joshua, I'd do it. I get it. I get what he's doing. So on this occasion, where the tides have turned, it's usually the promoter that ends up the better off rather than the fighter. And this occasion, the fighter's in a better position. And he's saying, you work for me. This is how it should be. You work for me. You do your thing. And I think Eddie does a great job.
And lastly, that same decision Joshua's going to have to make about the network that he associates himself with.
Yep.
Do you believe that Sky Sports will be his choice? And if so, could you get the same kind of career-ending commitment?
You know what? I wish it was. You know, but I love fighters. I love fighters coming out on the best side. I want Anthony Joshua to do what's best for him. And so if it is signing with Sky or DAZN, he's got to do what's best for him. And I'm quite sure both Sky, DAZN, any other network are going to offer him something which is unprecedented. He's got to do what's best for him. And that way, again, I'm on the side of the fighter. I ain't on the side of the broadcaster. I ain't on the side of the promoter. I'm on the side of the fighter. Make as much as you can, because unfortunately, we see so many fighters that have been icons, and then 20 years later, they can't tie their own shoelaces. They ain't got no harm to live. They've got no money left. Anthony Joshua's taking care of himself, his kids, his grandkids, and their kids. Do what's best for him.
Well, as someone who's on the side of the fans, it's a pleasure to talk to somebody who's on the side of the fighter. And I hope all of these deals work out, because the fighter deserves to live comfortably and not have to be drawn into the ring by a little purse so they can make a living after having been world champions and slogged away in this very difficult business. So I'm happy to see you always as a representative, not just on the side of the ring with the microphone, but in the ring as a world champion. Radio Rahim with Johnny Nelson.